So, I
Okay, I
mean,
just started recording. Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. That's a good idea. We'll talk about that offline
Yeah, yeah,
and maybe take it up at some time.
yeah, yeah.
Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai. If you're able to see my screen, Mamaji, you want to read How to Love God?
Yes, yes.
Please go ahead.
Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai. How to love God. To love God in the most practical way is to love our fellow beings. If we feel for others in the same way as we feel for our own dear ones, we love God. If instead of seeing faults in others, we look within ourselves, we are loving God. If instead of robbing others to help ourselves, we rob ourselves to help others, we are loving God. If we suffer in the suffering of others and feel happy in the happiness of others, we are loving God. If instead of worrying over our own misfortunes, we think of ourselves more fortunate than many, many others, we are loving God. If we endure our lot with patience and contentment, accepting it as His will, we are loving God. If we understand and feel that the greatest act of devotion and worship to God is not to hurt or harm any of His beings, we are loving God. To love God as He ought to be loved, we must live for God and die for God, knowing that the goal of life is to love God and find Him as our own biggest self. Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avtar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Our biggest self. Indeed. So, let us get back to our reading of manifesting. I did not listen to the entire recording, but I started it last night, Mamaji,
Ah,
on your advice, and I could not get to the point where you wanted me to understand one of the paragraphs or discuss it again. But I agree with you. There's something to be done on the audio for sure. So,
yeah, yes,
Ashok
yes.
ji, your audio is very feeble in the video. I think you also heard it. You said that you heard the um, last Sunday's recording, right? So it's very feeble. Yours is very feeble, especially in the first half of the discussion. Anyway, that's something we'll have to um, also address. That's technology. Let me figure out what has to be done for that.
Yes.
So, any thoughts before we start?
Nothing from me because I have not finished.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Is my voice clear now? Once again, is
Yes,
my
yes.
voice?
Yeah,
Yes.
it
No.
is. It is. But on the recording, it's very bad.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
said you
also heard.
heard last week's. Yeah,
I
right.
also
So
heard,
it
and
was
it
very
was
bad.
it was feeble, and
So I don't know if it's Teams because it has to be Teams then. It has to be the application problem because if we are able to hear you clearly and the recording doesn't carry your voice correctly, that's uh, that's not your fault.
I'll
Anyway,
try to I'll try to
you
speak.
can't do anything. I don't think you can do anything. It's something in the way the recording is happening. Anyway, so let's continue with this delightful book. Like I said, it was a very engaging and insightful session that we had last weekend, where what started in discourses as definition of the avatar and distinction between avatar and perfect master at level 1 becomes level 2 when you go and see it alongside God speaks, both in the main text as well, more importantly in the supplements. And then we discovered beams, which is level 3, where we get greater clarity on EAIC and Baba and what is the uh, role of the avatar without a perfect master and getting, how the first soul that got realization did it without perfect master. And that whole concept is uh, clearly brought out. But we had a great reading last week when we actually understood how to interpret the ambiguous, or I shouldn't say ambiguous, uh, open to interpretation words that are there in beams, right? So we got a better interpretation of that now. So with that introduction, let's get to the next chapter this morning. This is the second chapter in the book. It's called The Effect of the Total Manifestation. Tar Meher Baba TJ. The effect of the total manifestation. Humanity will receive a push, and this push will help people turn toward the values of truth. As a result, the values of materialism will decline. The shadow of the truth, which we see happening out of proportion, will cease to be out of proportion. I'll reread that line. The shadow of the truth. So, what is the shadow of the truth? The first dream. And we are the shadow of the truth. And it is out of proportion. It will become less out of proportion and take on the proper proportion. That's post manifestation. That's what he's suggesting. Because the consciousness of humanity will turn away from materialism, the tendencies of selfishness, hatred, jealousy, lust, anger, slander, pride, greed, and attachment will continually diminish. Selfishness, hatred, jealousy, lust, anger, slander, pride, greed, and attachment. So more than seven, but you have all the string of pearls, let's say. So selfishness, hatred, jealousy, lust, anger, slander, pride, greed, and attachment. Right. So some of them are related, some of them are unrelated, but all of them are the wanted list, let's say. Yeah.
Jai Baba. So, like I've said earlier, in the chapter on love, Baba talks about the five attributes that, meaning infatuation, lust, greed, anger, jealousy, are the five things that is prevents one to get the gift of pure love, right? And then he had given four attributes that people need to imbibe: no backbiting, look at the good points of others rather than their bad points, supreme tolerance, and the happiness of others. So, what I want to say is that, when you look at all these different lust, greed, anger, which we know is part of the gross, subtle, and mental body, that those are the three main things. But then you can do a chat GPT on A to Z, all the negative human emotions that, that you can actually, all the alphabets. So, which is basically the ego, all these attributes are part of the ego, right?
Correct.
So basically, we can say that different individuals, different drop soul consciousness carry different vasanas. Some people have more lust, more greed, more anger, and so on and so forth. And but they all come under the category of ego, which is the opposite of love. So the whole idea is love is in the air, which we all know, because we are already human beings. But the ego, which is basically because of the mind, ego, sanskaras, is what is preventing us from awakening to that divine love which is always around us. Right? Hey, Baba.
So, okay, I
J-
get that part. So, what do you mean by saying love is in the air? So, you mean it's just there to be discovered versus uh, ego? I mean, and the ego is stopping that discovery. Is that what you're suggesting?
Right.
What do you mean love is in the air?
Yes. Basically, it's like this. The analogy is breathing and thinking. Okay. We are
Mhm.
breathing all the time, but we are not conscious of it because the moment we wake up, we are only thinking, right? But we know that breathing is independent of thinking, but thinking is dependent on breathing, because if the body doesn't breathe, then so thinking has to do with the impressions or imprints, good or bad thoughts create weak impressions or sanskaras, and basically mental sanskaras, right? Then thoughts, words, and deeds, which we know the gross subtle mental or mental subtle grows. So these are impressions. Impressions or imprints are sanskaras, and they have to do with the mind ego, because mind is a
Mm-hmm.
repository which is storing all these sanskaras, and the ego is the representation of this whole net cumulative effect of the sanskaras. So when you everything is love, right? Because God is everywhere, and we know that from the definition of God is divine love, or divine love is God. So what I mean to say is, just like on planet Earth, we have oxygen all the time. We are breathing oxygen. Without oxygen, there's no life. Similarly, when you look from the metaphysical point of view, God is everywhere, right? Everything is divine. Only thing is the false identification with the body and the phenomenal world of existence, which deals with duality, is what is causing us from not awakening to that love. See, when we talk about when Baba says, I have not come here to teach, I've come here to awaken. Now, that can be interpreted in many different ways. One is awakening that you're not the body,
Yeah.
because the whole challenge for humanity today, or any time of human civilization, has been this false identification with the material body, gross body, subtle body, mental body, and the getting caught up in creation, which is the phenomenal world of existence. Remember, I mentioned that in Man God Part 2 in Discourses, there's a beautiful paragraph. It says, what is disastrous for the soul is not being conscious of creation, but consciousness gets caught up in creation. And what is disastrous for the soul is not being conscious of the body, but consciousness gets identified with the body. So, here, what we are looking at is the drop soul consciousness in the waking state is identifying with its own material body, and it's also
Mhm.
identifying with the material world, because we are reacting or responding to the material world, which is basically all part of the grand illusion. So, the whole if you look at only one word which signifies this whole so-called existence, is love, because we can't explain existence. We can't say what is truth. Truth is like a fact. You know, the seven realities:
Mm,
existence,
mm.
capital self, love, truth, infinity, and I added two more things: being and awareness. You know, self-awareness. So coming back to the point is that everything around you is divine love. Like Ramana Maharshi said, grace is always around you, but you're not available for it. So, for example, Meher Baba is in this Nirguna Nirakar, attributeless, attributeless, formless aspect now. He
Yeah.
said he's available to us as much as he was in physical form, but we are not conscious of it, right? But once we think about it, once we look at it, then we realize, yes, why don't we keep remembering that? Similarly, what I'm saying is love is in the air. It's basically the ego, because when you look at all the 56 God realized people, they are only about love, because there's no mind. There's no mind
Correct.
means no ego. So there's only love, because that is what is your real state. That is the natural state of every human being. I mean, because of the human being is the only one which is in full and complete consciousness, Mahachaitanya. Whereas the rest of the other kingdoms are still evolving.
You can't
So
get,
one
yeah.
can so technically, I always believe that all the 8 billion people are God realized, but not behaving like God. Because once you reach the human form, you have full and complete consciousness, which means you are Mahachaitanya, but you are not aware of it because you are caught up with your sanskaras. So, which is basically the mind ego. So, it's just this illusion of identification with the mind ego and so on and so forth, duality, basically, right? There's only one self, right? So, when you do namaste, namaskaram, which is basically you are bowing to each other, to each other's realized self. not the false I self, it is
Correct.
the ego personality self. We are just an actor, player actor, like a, what I call it a gap theory, gladiator actor player, gladiator fighting our own demons of our lust, greed, and anger. And right now we are all actor players in the waking state in a reality show. So of course, each one has their own interpretation of how to look at existence. So that's what I meant. Jay Baba.
Okay, that's
Jivaba,
Yeah.
interesting summary on love and
Oh,
how it is in the air.
love it is. Yeah. Okay.
love
Yeah.
and if I may add, like seesaw, love and ego. So the world is getting divided between love and ego, and also wanted to highlight that this ego and basically hatred, jealousy, lust, or let's say all the elements of ego, slander, pride, greed, and attachment has increased a lot because there are so many wars going on around. I mean, I mean, of course, we have messages from Baba, but of about divine love, but still it needs to. Why in this Advent when he has come, we have had two world wars. Now we are having a couple of other mini wars. So I really wonder why should we not get over all these wars and destruction and and spread. I mean, have more of love, which Kama has brilliantly highlighted. So, I mean, there has to be some resolution. I hope it comes soon because so much of destruction is there.
Yes. True. I think it will happen in Baba's time. We shall pray for that to be as quickly as possible. And I think it is imminent, right? It's a cleanup that is going on, and the cleanup will have a level of pain for sure. So, anyway, let's continue.
Once again, Jay Baba, sorry I got
Yeah.
cut off. Just to answer
Yeah.
Ashok, my understanding is basically this whole earth is like a big stage or like a big, movie shooting going on, right? Look, again, go back to God speaks and remember that the most original whim of God was basically that who am I aspect. And the paradox, see, the unfortunately everything we say is because of using the limited human mind. There are many paradoxes in life. A question was asked that if God is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, which means he knows himself, what is this what is this question of saying who am I? And then you have to go through this whole experience of the kingdoms and all that, aham brahmasmi and all that stuff. That is one part, and the answer is given. Who am I? And I am God. Aham brahmasmi analhek. Number one. I mean, number two is
Sorry.
Baba has said in God speaks that there have been many avatars, billions and billions of cycles of existence. So this is all happening in the divine imagination of God. And also in our own life, we have three states of consciousness. So technically, when you're in the sleeping dream state, it is happening as if we are imagining in the waking state. Only when we are in the waking state, we see the solid body and we can't come to that understanding that, hey, I'm actually formless, right? Because if you look at the Big Bang theory, this whole thing happened at trillion degrees centigrade from a point of nothingness, okay, which the scientists are not able to figure out, but Baba has given us. This is the Paratpar Parabrahma state. And then, so basically, God is amusing himself through us. So, coming back to all these wars that you see, in every avataric period, there has been wars, Ramayana, Mahabharata. There's always been the same human emotions of ego, lust, greed, and anger. Okay. So there is nothing new is happening, to be very frank. This is just a different, there are millions
Yeah,
of
that's
computer games now. Okay. I say, like, hey, you know what? This is a game. Baba has said it. Divine game, divine romance, divine sport, the greatest detective story ever told. So we are just players in this game of life. And that is the challenge, to be able to recognize that and then, implement it. For example, I just gave a 2 week course, okay, 1 week each for MBA school, MBA students on self management, which was basically called managing the self and others. There are these 40, 50 students in each class. You won't believe it. They are so restless. They are not able to keep the phone away or keep the laptop away and just listen, even after speaking to them number of times. So I feel very compassionate for them because they have not been brought up properly by their parents. The society and the school has not really taught them what is reality, what is going on. And all this turmoil we see, that what you're talking about, the war in discourses, Baba has given it clearly, right? So I think in the big picture, we are very fortunate that we can be a witness to all that is happening and know that this is all Baba's will or wish. I mean, I can go on and on, but just to tell, don't get emotionally attached to anything that is happening,
Anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Ashok ji.
I was trying to, what were the bullet points that I gave them? You won't believe it. I made them do 5 minutes of meditation in the class. I made them listen to Nisargadatta Maharaj, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I made them write, every day they had to give a presentation. I'll talk about it later. But this was a most amazing thing. Probably one of the professors told me, why don't you write a book on self management or whatever? So the whole point was told them every day, I did a recap. The universal law of nature is impermanence, but the human mind wants to make things permanent. So you're going against the law of nature, you got to suffer. And that's only in the waking state, right? Suffering is
Yeah.
only in the waking state. Even though now Ashok
Okay,
is going
let's.
through his
Yeah.
own health issues. Ashok, you're fine
Mhm.
when you're going to sleep, right? I mean, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right,
absolutely.
Ashok? So there itself, so universal law of nature is impermanence. And second time I told them, like, you're not the body. You know what are the problems they're facing? Anxiety, self-discipline, screen attachment, okay, and so on and so forth. Basically, the overthinking. All right. So, what is the solution? Everybody knows the solution. The thing is, I said you have to separate yourself. Once you identify with your thoughts, then you're going to be in trouble. But once you detach yourself and say, I am the witness, my capital I self is looking at this ego personality self, which is all doing all this mischief. So we are all struggling with it, to be very frank. But that is the theory is available. Everybody knows. But the
Yeah. The
practical
theory is available. The
implementation,
key thing is
yes,
the
yes.
theory is available. It's very difficult to. It's very
To
easy and
practice.
simple, but putting
Yes,
it into practice is
yes.
because of our every morning. Like you said, Ashok is fine when he's sleeping. He gets up and the sanskaras kick in with full force and with full confidence and bring him back to being Ashok, whereas he is God. Right. So anyway, that's good. Nice to know about your interface with the students, and I hope even if you're able to get 1% of that thinking in the direction of true values and moving away from false values, and get to the true nature of I and think on those lines, that would be a big difference, and they would talk about it more. So may Baba help those children and all children. I mean, not just children, of course, we
Bri-
adults as well. He knows. Anyway, let's get back to the reading.
Brilliant, Karthik. You hit the nail on the dot. And so, yeah, we'll continue with reading. Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay. The universe is a closed system. The sound, heat, rain, cold, wind, etc., will become properly balanced in nature, and as a result, nature will be in harmony with mankind because a proper equilibrium will be maintained in the universal container. As the tendency of lust declines, the population of the world will be in proper proportion to the requirements of nature. As the tendencies of selfishness, jealousy, hatred, and pride will be lessening, there will be less and less war and fighting. as sound, heat, cold, wind, and rain will be gradually readjusted in the proper balance, there will be less and less famine, floods, hurricanes, and earthquakes. As the tendency of greed diminishes, there will be less and less thirst for power and wealth. And as the tendencies of attachment, jealousy, envy, and slander weaken and become less and less, there will emerge an increasing feeling of brotherhood and love among mankind. So there is a readjustment that is going on, and that would readjust the forces. uh, the tendencies will readjust the universal forces, the climate, the floods and hurricanes. So a lot of all of them will balance out to become more fair in proportions. That's what uh, is the purport of this. I continue. This world and its values are old and decaying. The avatar comes to establish a new world order with new consciousness. The avatar comes to establish a new world order with new consciousness. When an old building is condemned and it is intended to be replaced by a new structure, the old building must first be destroyed. Therefore, the breaking down of the old structure precipitates the building up of the new structure, which is suitable for habitation without risk to life and without continuous repair. Therefore, to establish a new world order and to establish the feeling of brotherhood and love in humanity, the tendencies of lust, greed, selfishness, hatred, jealousy, fear, and pride had to be broken down. The diminishing of these human tendencies is the result of the avatar's work. At present, the world is reaching the heights of materialism. This is in 1985. This book is written in 1985, published rather. At present, the world is reaching the heights of materialism. Science has invented the best modes of travel, always speedier and more comfortable, along with the best of conveniences. Technology is advancing for the best forms of communication and information. Tragically, at the same time, science is improving its war machinery for the destruction of the world at just a press of a button. Despite the best types of comforts available, the people of the world are not happy and they are restless. People do not feel secure and few enjoy peace of mind. Instead of trust, there is fear. Consequently, countries are engaged in manufacturing ever more atomic bombs and other horrible weapons of death. Destruction is a necessary evil, it is a natural law. The old building, the old world structure needs to be destroyed in order to construct the new one so that the new humanity can live in it without any fear and distrust and with the feeling of brotherhood and love. It is the inner work of the avatar which has brought all of these inherent tendencies of lust, greed, hatred, selfishness, and fear in the world to the surface. Now, the world experiences them with terrible intensity. Because of this, humanity is restless, in spite of all the comforts science has been able to provide. The world chaos is brought about by the avatar in order to annihilate the structure containing these tendencies so that the new structure may be built up and people may live in peace with the feeling of brotherhood and love. It is anticipated that three-fourths of such tendencies will be destroyed in order to maintain the proper balance in nature between truth and its shadow for the progress of evolution. This destruction will happen through both natural and unnatural calamities, and three-fourths of all selfish, hateful, greedy, and inhuman tendencies in the world will be destroyed. When a vast proportion of such tendencies are destroyed and balance is restored, the new humanity will emerge crying out, Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. This hailing of the avatar will occur in the true sense, with humanity experiencing the values of truth as a result of shedding the values of materialism. The consciousness that emerges with the rising of the new humanity will be the result of the avatar's work of the world. I repeat, the consciousness that emerges with the rising of the new humanity will be the result of the avatar's work for the world. Then, Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai will not be shouted as mere words, but will be deep in feeling and action. The awareness of his suffering for the world will have such an impact that the new humanity will bow down at his feet with tears of love and repentance. Okay, so my biggest takeaway of about after reading this section or chapter is the fact that what Bhauji has written 40 years back is echoing the same things even today, but the intensity is, I think, manifold, right? So it's a lot more intense. The magnitude of whatever he's describing as happening in 1985 has only become more pronounced, right? And that's again to take on what the avatar wants to achieve, right? So that's all what is playing out in front of our eyes, right? So that's what I wanted to say at the end of this session. Any thoughts from anybody?
Yeah, Jay Baba, one thought which comes to my mind is that, all these vikars, or what do you call, lust, greed, anger, pride, jealousy, uh, and then there is a mention about a resurrection and a new world order. So it reminds me of the natural disaster or calamity like a volcano. So volcano, everything erupts, and then the lava cools down. So it's something like that is what comes to my mind. There will be mass extinction or destruction and darkness through all the the egoistic points like lust, greed, anger, all those mentioned earlier, eight of them in the previous paragraph.
Yeah.
And then there will be new world order. So I think a new world order is what we all look forward to, and this also resonates with what Baba said, that there will be three-fourths of destruction. But here it's a little optimistic that uh, the author Bhau Kalchuri, he mentions about something good to look forward to. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
You heard from me.
Sure.
Yeah. So what's happening in the world today, and what is the perception from what we read today, is that probably there are two ego points working on each other. So the basic background behind both is both are rich in value or material value, but one is very, very say directly power monger or control aspiring and all that, whereas the other is more of a chariot, religious, uh, and also both are having a lot of value, material value, but they want to hold their fort. So if they can break that, the value can be distributed among everyone, and then we can have a peaceful existence. Probably Baba is creating a situation for that to happen in near future. So where a justifiable distribution of value, and each should be happy with what they have and what they can distribute, and dilute their egoistic and also very strict religious attitude. Both, if they can dilute, things will be better off for the whole world. That is my summary, what we can project out of this paragraph. Hey, Baba.
Very, very interesting commentary. So, are you suggesting when you say Shariat, are you suggesting all religions at large just sticking to the rituals and the
Yes, yes,
programs?
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
I'm not pointing
yeah.
out to any one thing,
Anyone,
but
correct. Yeah.
it is,
Shariat as described by Baba.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. It is the only thing is it is more projected from one corner right now, but it is
Mhm.
the same thing happening all around.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I just wanted to, I mean, that's a nice way of looking at what the world is going through and where we are now. I hope things improve and hope they don't go much worse than where we are before it starts improving. That's all we can hope for and pray for. And it leaves all our dear ones and loved ones in least damage, let us say. But let them if the more that they make the inward journey at this time and use the opportunity to look inward, even better, right? That's all we can pray for. Okay, let's continue. The next chapter is called Sanskaric Obstacles. There are certain sanskaric obstacles that prevent human consciousness from leaning toward truth, and therefore one remains deeply entangled in the play of illusion. When the avatar comes, he comes for the universe, and through this work, he reveals the path of truth to mankind. In order to station the people groping in darkness on the straight path to truth, the avatar works to remove all those sanskaric obstacles that prevent humanity's consciousness from proceeding toward that path. The avatar removes those obstacles through his work and provides people the opportunity to station themselves on the path of truth. It is through the avatar's work that human beings are able to proceed further along the path to experience the truth. Sanskaras create a very complicated problem for each one in creation, and at every step during the journey, one comes across different obstacles one after another. When God descends as the avatar, he works for each individual, and that work continues birth after birth for that individual until that individual reaches the goal through the annihilation of all sanskaras. There is a certain type of spiritual work that needs the presence of God in physical form. During this period, when the physical presence of infinite consciousness is embodied in the avatar, God, through the avatar, teaches mankind the language that God hears. When God hears this language, God, through the body of the avatar, gives an immediate response, help. However, once this is achieved and his work for each individual is finished, the avatar drops his body. When the avatar drops his body, he is connecting the link of the individual directly with his infinite consciousness through the medium of the language that he taught during his physical presence on earth. I pause here and draw your attention to two lines above.
No, I think you
During,
need to read the whole paragraph once again, slowly. And
sure, I will,
yes,
I will. That's fine. There is a certain type of spiritual work that needs the presence of God in physical form. During this period, When the physical presence of infinite consciousness is embodied in the avatar, which is during the advent of the avatar, God, through the avatar, teaches mankind the language that God hears. When God hears this language, God, through the body of the avatar, gives an immediate response, help. However, once this is achieved and his work for each individual is finished, the avatar drops his body. When the avatar drops his body, he is connecting the link of the individual directly with his infinite consciousness through the medium of the language that he taught during his physical presence on earth.
So
Okay,
what is the last line? Purport for the last line. Through the
I
medium of
have a question
language that
before
he
the
taught
last.
during.
Yeah,
Yes.
but my question is linked to that. But what does God hear? What is the language God hears? What is
Yes,
being referred to there in
because
the
each
second line
period,
of this paragraph?
yes, that I feel is a multitudinous changes or variations seen in the different avataric advents. So the environment around which the avatar is adventing is totally different, and he acts accordingly for that. So that is the language. That is what is referred to as language. So today's avatar molds himself to create a understanding in the humanity of the souls around that is capable of understanding with their way of living today. So which was not different, or which is different from what times of Ramayana or times of Mahabharata or the other many advents avatar came. So there was a lot of difference. So when we peripherally attach with the practices coming out of that learning as rituals, we flounder. That is what happens in between the avataric period and the essence of avatar's message is lost. So the last sentence here, through the medium of language that he taught during his physical presence on earth, what we understand by that.
Jai Baba,
So what is the language of Avatar Meher Baba, which is given to the humanity in this advent of the God?
Jai Baba, when you look at this presence of infinite consciousness, this is basically state 2B, so substate 2B after the whim, when you have infinite consciousness and infinite unconsciousness. So we know infinite consciousness is technically eternal, avataric, infinite consciousness. This is what descended into the first drop soul who became God realized, and he became designated as Avatar. And he's the only drop soul consciousness whose body is being used each time by the eternal avataric infinite consciousness. So, God in human form is basically the infinite consciousness in human form, right? So, what we know is that when the avatar comes, he becomes everything. I just had an insight that what he's doing is by becoming everything in the universe, he's internally working on our sanskaras also so that we don't deviate. The other thing Baba has said, once creation has started, it has to follow the rules of the game. Okay. God can't, he can give you some preventive measures, but everybody has to go through this, game plan basically. So at different times, the avatar speaks in different languages. Right now, the language of silence. If you really look at the digital world today, AI economy, You don't really need to discuss anything with anybody. If you have a question, you go into the LLM, any of the LLMs, and you keep asking questions after questions. And it gives you a better answer than anybody else, any human being can give. So it is a form of silence, in my understanding. Like, if everybody kept silent and just worked through their digital thing, probably the world will be a better place. Jai Baba.
Jay Baba, can I answer to
Yeah, yeah,
Ma-
please, please,
Mamaji's question that uh,
please.
the medium of language that he taught during his physical presence on earth. So I think uh, the Baba's seven realities, my wish, how to love God, and various other messages, the seven Seva sayings, and many others, the the repentance prayer, the Pravartika prayer. I think these are the messages, or this is the language of love and compassion which Baba has left for us, and that's for us to spread the good word and at least share it with others, so that more and more people get the medium of his language, and there is sanity on earth, which is which the mankind is lacking right now.
Yes,
Is not.
that's what I was thinking of that also. So, and then the other part of that is if we read all the messages and try to imbibe them, there is no hint of any say groupism or kind of creating a small niche and then trying to keep people away. They are all universal messages. So that is the most important thing. And we as people who are into this to see that it is not diluted or it is not, say, spoiled by tendencies of ritualistic attachment for that and then spoiling the future. So rituals not with the avatar, but with the practice that mankind follows after the avatar. Jai Baba.
Yeah, absolutely, Mamaji, and there's a line which says, "Treat everyone with brotherly and sisterly love." I think there's a lot of essence in all those messages which we read in the beginning of our program. Last 4 years, if you look at the recordings, every all our sessions have that, and that is very significantly relevant for all of us. Jai.
Yes,
Yeah. So, if I were to summarize, I think all of us, all of what is said is correct, right? So, I think at the what should I say, philosophical level, what Kama says is very interesting, right? The language of silence. At a practical level, the all that Baba requested or sent out or shared as his darshana, his philosophy, his message to the world, his instructions to the world is the language, and that's the language that gets the response. And the key point that Mamaji made, there is a difference based on the time of the Advent. So different times require different messages and different, to use this paragraph's wording, different language. So
yes,
the language of Babas is what is currently the language that has got the response of God, and all his work is already done. So if you see what it says, once this is achieved, his work for each individual is finished. So he has
yes,
already worked on you, me, all the people, all of creation. God has worked through the avatar and finished it. Okay. Now we're just going through the motions. Okay, that's my summary on all your comments. If you all agree.
yes. One small
Jai
point
Baba.
about what Kama told. So I am not sure whether this digital revolution can give the solution all the time, because we hear so much that it can take you astray also. So I am not very conversant with this. So that point of uh, spoiling by the digital world of any peace which can appear has to be thought of. If I am wrong, I will accept that, because I am not so much conversant with all the benefits of this digital revolution happening, AI and all that.
No, no,
But
I second you on that. I only accept what, with the first part that Kama said, which is what the language of this Advent is the language of silence, which is look inward,
yes,
look and
yes,
make, listen to your inner voice, listen to
yes,
your inner most loving self. I am there, is what Baba
yes,
saying. So don't look outward. That could be the broader understanding. Yeah, the the technology part, I think what Baba has pushed is towards uh, making it. See, the information asymmetry was a big problem the world suffered from. Everything in the world was because of information asymmetry. What is people make money because somebody knows something that you don't, and that person makes money. That's nothing but information asymmetry. So I think the world is going towards information symmetry, and that's the work of the avatar, no doubt about it, right? But I don't think that's going to solve the inward journey and involution. It may for some. Baba will work through some in even for that, right? And that's what uh, our technology project is also working towards. But it's plagued with problems as well. So it's going to create psychological disorders. It's going to lead people astray, and it's going to question a lot of things. But I don't want to get into the detail of that. So, but yeah, it's fraught with danger as well. With that, let's get back to the reading.
Jay
Jay
Baba,
Baba, now
Karthik,
let
if
me
I
let
can,
me add a comment on. Excuse me, one second. The what Karthik mentioned. Look, we have the industrial economy. Okay, I have repeated this before. Last 5,000, 10,000 years, we have an agro-based economy. 1800 to 1950, 150 years steam engine to mainframe. 1950 to 1995, mainframe to laptop, internet, and mobile phone. 45 years. 20 years, 1995 to 2015, became smartphone. Today, every 5 to 7 years, disruptive technologies. What's going on? You think human beings became suddenly intelligent? No. I believe it's again Baba's work. It's clearly
No
said
doubt
that
about it.
here, okay, no doubt about it. Second thing is all these tools that we have, whether you have a plane or a computer or a car or whatever, internet, computer, TV, it's how you use it. Because every object is very non dual by itself. It's how a human being uses a particular object. For example, nuclear reactor can be used for electricity or it can bomb the people. So it has nothing to do with the object by itself. It's how we use it. Third is, for me, the insight was that I had so many questions growing up, like, why are people behaving like this? Why do we see so much of violence and all that? But once you have a certain kind of foundation, which Baba has given us, I think our timing was perfect. That it didn't come before the AI thing didn't come before we understood Mayor Baba. That now my questions are being answered because it's all about prompt questions. Ultimately, the only real question in life is who am I? But from the who am I, it's like the sun. The sun's rays are going all over the 360 degrees. Similarly, we have 360-degree questions, and that is all about trying to understand this who am I question or to experience this divine love. So I think that we can't poo poo the technology or anything. Everything is happening perfectly. Another thing I told my students, look, the whole universe is fine tuned for the last 13.8 billion years based on the laws of matter, which we know. right? The classical mechanics, quantum mechanics, supernatural laws, law of karma, which is again superseded by the law of divine grace. That nobody has said, right? We have that privileged information from Baba. The second thing is, if everything is fine tuned, what is out of tune? Right now, as you see, I'm in Hyderabad at the Jubilee Center, and I'm like watching the tree outside. Everything looks perfectly fine tuned, but there is only one thing that is out of tune: is the human mind in the waking state. So it's so obvious that the whole challenge is nothing to do with the external world. It has to do with the human mind and how it responds or reacts. Anyway, I'll stop here. Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's continue then
Can I
to
take
the
a minute,
next.
Karthik, J
Oh, yeah,
Baba?
sure. Please go ahead.
So basically, I'm the answer
No,
lies in the.
audio is not clear.
So
Very
is my
feeble.
voice clear now? Sorry.
Little
Hello.
better.
Better.
Okay. So
Little better. Yeah.
basically, you know, it brings me to uh, the discourse, the travails of the new world order. So I think there is quite a lot of answer to the way we should, uh, you know, uh, journey this world storm. The first subheading of the that chapter is world storm, and if you just allow me, I'll read the subheadings of the two pages. So it's conflict between the forces of light and darkness. Then you know uh, the cure for selfishness needed. Man will become sick of wanting, greed, hate. Suffering generates understanding, affirmation of truth, and then ultimately inherit divine love through the God man. So basically, it's there is as Kama has said, and as we have also discussed, Baba has given the prescription. So it's basically how do we implement it, and you also mentioned it, Karthik. So basically, all that is given, but we have to implement the good things. Perhaps that therein lies the answer to many of the challenges and problems we are facing.
Yep. 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 Implementation is always the challenge. Yeah. Let's continue. When the direct link with infinite consciousness is established for the individual, the physical body of God no longer needs to be maintained. During the physical presence of God, through the body of the avatar, the infinite consciousness works in the personal form. After dropping its body, the same infinite consciousness works in an impersonal form, formless and bodiless. So Sagun Sakar and Nirgun Nirakar. Each one of us is bound by sanskaras, and though the avatar removes the obstacles which are created by sanskaras and therefore thereby stations people on the path of truth, when they start the next stage of the journey, sanskaras again create obstacles. Even so, these obstacles are already predetermined by the avatar during his work in physical form. It is through his work that he creates direct links with each individual to his impersonal form as the infinite consciousness. The result of his work, while in personal form, is that he teaches individuals the language that the impersonal infinite consciousness understands. Thereby, the individual attains an immediate response when he calls on the infinite consciousness Meher Baba at his critical time of trouble on the path. So the language simile comes back here. So the language simile now suggests that it's the inner voice, like I was saying, intuition, the gift of intuition that Baba has given, and Baba kindles that and presents that option to creation to connect to infinite consciousness and get those answers and make that progress. And all of it is already predetermined. He's repeating that idea that uh, even the obstacles generated by sanskaras and your in your journey is also predetermined. The state can be explained by this simile. In a power plant, the mechanical engineers operate the powerhouse's flow of energy. The chief engineer trains them as mechanics, and once they are trained, the physical presence of the chief engineer is no longer necessary. Even though the chief engineer sits away from the machinery of the plant, nevertheless, he still controls the powerhouse. If the machinery does not work properly at any time, the mechanics call up the chief engineer and ask his help. Since the mechanics are trained, they know the language the chief engineer understands. No sooner does a mechanic ask the chief engineer anything in that language, engineering language, he receives the answer immediately about what he should do to remove the defects and keep the machinery running. So once you understand Baba's vocabulary, Baba's tools, Baba's instruments, and guiding principles, you use those tools and contact uh, and question and seek answers. He goes on. In the simile, the training period for the mechanics is the time of the physical presence of the avatar, the work of the personal form of infinite consciousness. The chief engineer, shifting his physical presence but still holding the control of the powerhouse, indicates the avatar's work as the impersonal infinite consciousness after dropping his physical body. These defects in the wires are sanskaric obstacles. As Meher Baba has said, the powerhouse will never fail, provided the wires take care of their connection with it. The powerhouse will never fail, provided the wires take care of their connection with it.
This is very
So,
profound. Yeah.
another t shirt, another t shirt.
T-shirt. Yes.
Right? Yeah. So, that's the sanskaric obstacles. So there, the sanskaric obstacles are predetermined. The sanskaric obstacles can find their resolution. All you need is have your powerhouse connection intact, the wires to the powerhouse. Send the signal, receive the signal back, and make your progress. Enjoy the uninterrupted power. So that's the message in simile form,
Yes.
right?
We have to
Let's
communicate effectively with power.
correct. Yeah, the universal push. Next chapter. Age after age, cycle after cycle, God assumes a human form in order to give a push to every level of consciousness, directly from the stone state of consciousness to the human state of consciousness. It is his work to give a universal push, and to give this universal push, he has to become everyone and everything, so that everyone and everything receives this push. The avatar has to be in every level of consciousness for his universal work. His work is universal because he is in every level of consciousness. To speak metaphorically, when anyone becomes a king of a country, he rules over the whole country during his lifetime, and he must shoulder the responsibility of everyone and everything in the country. But if anyone merely acts like a king, depicts the character of a king before an audience, then his responsibility is to make certain the audience is well impressed, that is, convinced, by his performance about the character of the king. In this manner, the one who becomes the king of the country assumes the responsibility of the whole country, and works for everyone and everything in the whole of the country. However, the one who simply acts like a king assumes responsibility only for the small audience gathered in the theater and works at acting as a king for this small audience. In the divine drama of the universe,
This
God,
paragraph, does it give any indication of Sadguru and Avatar both?
I'm not sure of that. What makes you think the smaller gathering is what you're suggesting is the Sadgurus?
Yes, Sadguru can influence the souls around him, whereas the Avatar is always bestowing everything to every other soul, knowingly or unknowingly. His connections are and his responsibility and his connections are multifarious. So the whole cosmos is under him. So he takes the responsibility for that. Whereas the Sadguru has a limited role. That also is coming out from here, I think.
If I may comment on that, I tend to disagree because
Ah,
I think that the Sadguru also works at the level of the universal mind. His
yes,
sphere of influence is again uncontrolled. It's just that when Avatar is there, he steps back. But I think that he has the same infinite consciousness working through him when he is in body. He does not have any role after he is in body, whereas
yes,
infinite consciousness in Nirgun Nirakar form continues to operate even after the avatar has dropped the body, right? So there is a distinction, but I do not think the distinction is in scope of operations or ability to help number of souls. That's my opinion or my understanding.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Baba. Yeah. I think you're on the right track that the Sadguru has the same kind of power as the avatar when he's in human form. And but as you said, once he drops his body, he goes off into the the infinite consciousness, Nirguna Nirakara aspect, but maintains his individualized consciousness. That is the basic difference. But the two similarities and differences is one is Sadguru becomes, Sadguru goes through, Sadguru acts.
Ac-
thanks.
He goes
Accent.
through, Sadguru goes through creation, evolution, reincarnation, involution, realization, whereas Avatar comes veiled with Vijnani sanskaras, which after unveiling becomes Yoga Yoga sanskaras. Sadguru also works on Yoga Yoga sanskaras. They also have a typical time management plan. Like, Tiranyana Sambandar waited till 10 years old. Jnaneshwar was only 21 years old when he dropped his body. Shankaracharya probably was 33 or whatever. So, and so on and so forth. But as you rightly said, we all know that many saints have become self realized by focusing on the avatar. The Panduranga, the Varkari tribe, Jnaneshwar, all those guys, on Vishnu and Krishna, and Mirabai on Krishna, and many other Rama devotees we know about, whether it's Tulsidas or, whatever. So we all know that the avatar is uh, the same drop soul consciousness, except at different cycles of time, he comes in different, shapes and form. So you'll never go wrong if you focus on the avatar, even if he's not there, right? Suppose you are born like, say, now it's 2025, let's say 2125, not even 25, 2325, 300 years later or whatever. If you focus on Meher Baba, he's going to help you. If you focus on Krishna, he's going to help you. So that is the beauty of the eternal avataric infinite consciousness. But I think the most important thing right now for all of us is to use this opportunity from 1969 to 2069 and keep remembering Baba as much as possible, because he's around us all the time in the most powerful form, 100%, you know. And that is the biggest challenge, I feel for all of us to be able to remember him, because he's available much more than the human form, as he rightly said. But again,
Yeah.
due to law of entropy, everything
We move
decreases. That
away.
is
Yeah.
why the avatar has to come again and again. I call it he comes and does service and maintenance. The antivirus gets in, so the virus has to be removed. So he has to come with a new operating system. Jai Baba.
The powerhouse needs work. Power plant, sorry.
It
Power
needs service and
plant
maintenance.
needs work.
It
Exactly.
needs
And he
service and
comes back to
maintenance.
do that.
Exactly. Yes, yes,
Exactly.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for
And
the
like you
clarity.
said, it's entropy. It's unavoidable. It will happen. And it's only a matter of time. Very good. Let's continue. In the divine drama of the universe, God, the infinite consciousness, in human form as the avatar, becomes everyone and everything. The infinite consciousness in personal form becomes king of every level of consciousness. He works as the king for every level of consciousness in every level of consciousness, and thereby assumes the responsibility of every level of consciousness. The perfect master is the perfect actor. A perfect master only works for a particular audience. This means that the perfect master's work is a part of the universal work in the human sphere of consciousness. Thus, the perfect master acts like a king, but does not become a king because it's not essential for his work. So, this is closer to what you are probably asking or suggesting, Mamaji. But I think the bigger summary is the last two lines, right?
Yeah.
Thus, the perfect master acts like a king, but does not become a king. So that's what Kava already said.
Yes.
But it's just that the scope of uh, uh, um, operations, or let us say, how do we understand this in the context of how many souls it impacts?
Yes.
Jurisdiction.
Anybody?
The word could be jurisdiction, if that's the word you're looking for. So, but one thing more is that we have five perfect masters available in the universe. So even if we don't have the role of the king supervising it, there are five perfect masters. So that is what uh, makes the world go on.
No, no. So my question is, so to take up and discuss further on Mamaji's point.
Yes.
So there are one point, whatever number of souls in creation, not just humans, all souls in creation, right? So Avatar, as we read in even this paragraph, operates at the level of all of those in and as everything, in everything and as everything, right? Everything in creation. So, is the suggestion here that the perfect master obviously does not work as and in everything because he's only working for a role, right? So, I think there is a distinction there on what he does. So, like Kama said, for the next 700 years, as long as you're connected to an avatar, and the most recent avatar being the best bet, you're done. But the perfect
Yes.
master is not going to do you any harm, especially if he's in body and you have access to him. He's going to help you as well. But the avatar is any day superior to the perfect master.
Yeah, in terms of an hierarchy or organization structure, it says here that the Prophet Master only works for a particular audience. And as you all discussed, the, the avatar is like has works on every level of consciousness. So I think this paragraph it comes out. A Prophet Master works only for a particular audience. This means that the Prophet Master's work is a part of the universal work in the human sphere of consciousness.
So
Yeah, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
there seems to be a distinction which is not so required for us, but intellectual jugglery makes things so, uh, go threadbare, discuss. And one thing, what we are fortunate is the next, as Kava put it, next 50 years or so, Baba is always available to us. So beyond that, the perfect masters of those periods for the next 600 years or more, they are the God available. But let's focus on Avatar Meher Baba first, the period. Hey Baba.
Yeah, actually, I'm marking this out so that we do some more research on this. I'm not.
Yes, 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 yes.
Uh, yeah, I think we can't. I agree. I
And also
agree with what
disagree.
exactly. So let's research a little on this. So
Yes,
needs some more research. Mr. Kama will do the AI on this and come back. Meher Baba's
oh,
words only,
yes.
with references. Okay, Kama. Let's continue. The difference between the work of the avatar and the work of a perfect master is that the avatar becomes the king in his divine drama of creation and works universally for the whole creation and thereby shoulders all the responsibility involved in the whole of creation. A perfect master only acts like a king for a select audience because his work is limited to a certain section of the universal work for humanity alone and not to the evolving universes of creation. And that work too is only during his physical lifetime. The avatar's responsibility towards everyone and everything in the universe is for all time. And therefore, after he drops his physical body, his responsibility and his work do not cease but continue for all time. It is because of this continued responsibility that he has to appear age after age in human form. So, there are 2 points he's making here,
Yes,
which I'm going to underline.
yes.
Right. So, one is it's
Perfect
work
master only
for
for humanity.
humanity, right? And second, and work only during his lifetime, which we just discussed as well, right?
Physical,
So,
I think the
yeah,
key
go
word
ahead.
is physical lifetime.
Correct. But then this part is still something that we need to understand. So, is the select audience all of humanity, or is it a selection of humanity? That is what I'm not sure about. So, see, uh, my
Jay Baba.
question is logical. My dilemma is logical. I don't know perfect master. I don't know God. I'm just in the forests of Brazil doing my own work, but I make progress. I involve. I mean, I go through reincarnation. I'm in human form. I go through the process of involution, and I reach out for help. I do not know anybody. I do not know. I don't have access to anybody. But I'm praying. I'm loving God. The perfect master at that time in physical body, the one of the five, will respond to that, right? So is that all of humanity? That's what he's saying, select audience, or is it's not? Because to use another a very clear explanation. The perfect master is responsible for creation when he is in physical form. So he has to respond to that soul. He has no choice, right? So that's my thought. Kama, you were trying to say something.
Yeah, Jai Baba, see, Sadguru comes with 12 plus 2, correct? Mandali.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they are people who are connected to him from past lives. So basically, they are going to get directly benefited by their own friend who became a perfect master. And then the perfect master's job, as we know, out of the 56 God realized souls, the five perfect masters have to work directly with humanity. But there are five. So imagine if you distribute it in five continents. So his work will be for a select audience depending on where he is. Just as a hypothetical understanding, let's say it's
yeah. That's a good
distributed.
one. That's
Yeah,
a good one. Yeah, yeah. Agreed.
exactly. So instead of the
Yeah,
avatar, see, the avatar is always there like oxygen. Okay.
for everyone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Is like oxygen. Okay. This is like giving, bottled water. Like, Sadhguru is like giving like bottled water. You can't get it everywhere. But of course, nowadays, the point of the analogy out here is
no,
remember
you hit the
that
nail on the head. It's just that there are five of them at any time. They
and
cannot
they,
deal with everybody, and there is some sort of
yes,
order, universal
yes,
order, spiritual orders, spiritual rules, which determine who does what, and each one deals with a select audience. Period. Very
the
clear.
the the the, the the drama is already created. Remember, the big picture, the movie script is already created by the avatar before he
Correct.
comes. Then the next 700 to 1400 years, the Sadgurus, like managing directors, whatever lifetime they have, they also, their role is also fixed, right? The script is
Yeah.
already done. The only thing is when you are making a movie like a director, some actors don't behave. You have to give them a kick in their butt. Like, basically, like what is happening is not everybody who is going into, when you have a big movie with a lot of actors, not everybody is going to work perfectly, right? You have to
Correct.
discipline them. So I think the
Correct.
Sadgurus come and keep the fine tuning of the divine script that is created by each time the avatar comes. Okay. So this just came to me. So, in a
Very,
sense,
very, very correct.
the right. So, you know that the avatar is the supreme Sadguru or the eternal perfect master. That's what I was struggling to get last time. The eternal
Yeah.
perfect master or the supreme Sadguru is the avatar. So, in a
Correct.
way, what Baba has done to us is he has given us this whole game. What this whole game is all about, who are the players, what are their roles, and what is your role. That's it. So this is very interesting to see that I told the student, like, you know what? The only time you are acting is in the 16 hours and you're going through the seven stages. Everybody's seven stages is the same: infanthood, childhood, teenager, single adult, family man, blah, blah, blah. And then 80-20 rule. 80% we are all doing the same thing. 20% we are doing our own unique, activity, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, gross, subtle, mental, whatever you call it. Like, so the interesting thing I said was because a lot of these people, they don't have any clue about what to do. First of all, they don't know what to do with their life in terms of occupation. So they have just come to the MBA program thinking that something will come up. I said you have to start from eighth grade. But you have to explore and experiment and find out what is your talent. See, God is not going to come and tell you. It is latent in us, but we have to explore and experiment. And the funny part is, according to reincarnation theory, we also choose our parents. We also choose our script. So it is a very interesting diaspora out there. And if we can understand how the game is designed, how it needs to be played, which is what Baba has given us for this so-called 21st century AI-driven economy. Like, anyway, Jai Baba.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we will stop at this point, and then continue the next time. I don't think we can finish this chapter, so I'd rather stop at this point logically, and then pick it up next Sunday. But again, a very, very interesting conversation. I'm sure all of us agree. It was
Yes.
very engaging and very nice.
Do we have a?
Thanks for
Can, can I add a minute my comments to what
your time
Kama said?
starts right now.
Yeah, yeah. So Kama mentioned about the students wondering what to do with their life. So I have a suggestion. They can read or they can imbibe the philosophy of Ikigai, the purpose of one's life. It's a very good book, which is uh, you know
Boss,
combination.
Ikigai misses God. So it does everything, but it's like Maslow, right? Maslow also addresses at least self-actualization, but Ikigai stops short of that. So I agree with you, and I don't agree with you as well.
No, no. See,
I'm
there are
sorry to say.
two different words.
So when Kama is doing the bold, I would even say audacious job of presenting God and the true nature of your individuality to young students, why stop short? Why stop at Ikigai? Give them the whole thing.
No, no. Basically, if I can put it in a Venn diagram, there are subsets: reality and duality. In the world of reality, of course, you have
Correct.
to reach God, and in the world of duality,
Exactly.
to do your stuff. So basically, what you love to do.
वो वो 3D IMAX ही दिखा रहा है, क्यों उसको मोबाइल फोन में मूवी दिखाना? कामा जाके 3D IMAX दिखा रहा है उसको, स्टूडेंट को, तो मोबाइल में क्यों दिखाना? पूरा दिखाओ.
नहीं, मेरे कहने का
That's
मतलब है
my.
I see.
But yeah, Ikigai is a good tool. Ikigai is Japanese. I was actually very excited when I first understood it because it's such a nice way of planning your life, of
So,
of
basically,
answering questions. For
yes.
students, it's a very good tool. I agree.
So
But like I said,
it's an intersection of four things: what you love
correct.
to do,
Why
what
don't
you're
you
good
share
at.
something about that in the group,
Yes, yes.
I will share the
Ashok?
diagram. I'll share the diagram. So,
Yes, please,
uh,
please.
what you love to do, what you are good at, can you be
Correct.
paid for it? And that is what the world needs. So that might be an
Correct.
answer to some of the questions we are all faced with. It is, of course, in the world of duality. It's not
Duality. Correct.
it's not going to the higher levels like what Kama has mentioned, taught the students, but it can be a good starting point.
Agreed, agreed. So, by the way, before I end, I have some interesting news for those of us who were there yesterday. We heard of Open Up the Door, right? So, Baba speed is sometimes unbelievable. So, yesterday we shared the notations with uh, Nomita Didi, and Nomita Didi is already taken it to the Baha'i person. The song is ready, the recording is already with me. But because neither of the Dars are there today, I'm not going to play it, but I think it came out well. So, Open Up the Door is already in musical form. All three of them are singing. The lady from the Baha'i group and the Dars, and there's guitar. So, Baba's rocking.
Yes. Baba singing.
So, yes, absolutely.
Can
So,
we listen to it?
no, we can't. I need either of them to be there.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, let's do it next week, or if they so decide, they may share it on the group. Yeah. So she sent it to me, and I listened to it, and I was waiting to share it, but given
No,
neither of them
Nomita
are
has
there,
sent one video which I have not checked.
that's the one. That's Open Up the Door. So she's probably
Okay.
sent it to a few, and she's been partial
Uh-huh.
in her choices, maybe if Ashok,
Yeah.
or maybe Ashok, you've not seen it yet. It must be with you as well.
Yes,
I've
I
not seen
just
it. I've not
checked.
seen it.
Okay. Okay. Jai Baba, everybody.
Jai
Have a
Baba.
great Sunday and week ahead, and let's catch up again next Saturday. Sanjay ji, you were silent
Yeah,
this
Jai
morning.
Baba. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Jai Baba.
Yeah. Jai Baba. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Jai
Thank
Baba.
you.
Jai Mer Baba.
Thank you.